Good afternoon, everyone, from Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana. I am Suzanne Miller, the owner of Dunrovin Ranch, and this is my good friend, photographer, and creative director for Days at Dunrovin, Julie Cowan. And Julie is kind of new to us. You came in November? October, yeah. And all the horses, of course, have been out here on the winter field during most of your visits to the ranch.
Yes.
And Julie has something of a horse background. Tell us your experiences with horses, Julie.
Oh my goodness. Well, my daughter growing up had a little sorrel and white paint. And I may have ridden her once. It was mostly a dad-daughter thing. My husband had horses growing up in Wyoming, and I had friends with horses. I used to ride horses. My best horse story, and I can tell it now or I can tell it later, but my best horse story is I went on a pack trip into the Bob Marshall Wilderness many years ago, and we have a funny story from that one. But I'll let you get into this first, and we can talk about the funny horse story.
Well, maybe we'll have to write a blog about it. Do you have some photos?
Oh yeah, I have photos.
Well, let's get a post going here. What do you think, guys? A post. Bob Marshall Wilderness Adventures. I've got mine and you've got yours.
Yeah.
He's been in the Bob with us several times. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do over the next couple months is introduce Julie to each one of our wonderful steeds. And I thought I would just rather start randomly. And I'm starting with the second oldest horse in our herd. And by that I mean he has been here longer than every other horse save one.
Wow.
And the horse that has been here the longest now is my Lady Lonzo, who was born here. And then we had, I used to have Power was here when Lonzo was born, and Annie died a couple years ago. And then right about that time, I bought Montana Strollin' Joe, or Monty for short.
Monty. Okay. Monty's a good name around Missoula.
It is a great name. And don't you think he has something of the maroon? Monty is the name of the grizzly bear that is the mascot for the University of Montana. And it's maroon and white, fight, fight, fight. Well, he's kind of maroonish, and he has a little bit of white in his mane. So he's with it. See how white his...
Now I understand when I saw on the calendar Monty's birthday, and you weren't talking about the University of Montana mascot I'm taking.
Right, right.
It's not Monty the bear.
No, not Monty the bear. Monty the horse.
She just fell off her pedestal. I thought she was a big Grizz fan, and she's talking about the horse.
I am a Grizz fan. But, both in terms of real grizzly bears and in terms of the University of Montana.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a Montana Strollin' Joe. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to greet a horse.
Okay.
Right?
I guess I'll get my hand down.
No, you can do that.
Oh.
You can do that. First of all, the horse should not be greeting you. You come and you greet the horse. And the best way when a horse hasn't seen you for a long time is to let the horse exchange breaths through your nose. He gets the smell of you. That's how horses know each other.
Well, I'm glad I brushed my teeth before I came, Monty.
So give him a horse.
My guess is he doesn't care about that, right?
Yeah, but what he will do is he will remember that smell. He will know you. And so when you come up to greet him, no matter how you're dressed or what perfume or anything else you're wearing,
right,
he will recognize you, and you'll see horses greet. They go and they exchange breath, okay? So that's the natural way that a horse greets. The other thing I tell people who are somewhat new to horses is, do you think one horse can pat another horse?
Probably.
Not really.
I mean,
yeah.
With their chin.
With their chin.
Yeah.
But when we go up and pat a horse, we're outside their norm. So if I go up to a horse and I start patting it, that's an aggressive act as you say, if you're going to...
In the horse world, huh?
In the horse world. It's more of an aggressive act. But what you will see, and particularly a mare and its foal, is she will put her teeth on his back and scratch, right? Particularly at the withers. So if you want to be really good friends with a horse, you want to step to their withers and you want to scratch. And as you spend time out here, you are going to learn that you'll see horses in the field doing this to each other. And look at how calm he is and how relaxed he is. You know, he just really likes being scratched right up by the withers. It takes them back to that time when they were a child.
I like being scratched by the withers.
You like that too?
Will you
want
do that
it?
to me?
Yeah, right there.
Oh.
Very good. Very, very good indeed. So this is Montana Strolling Joe, and his birthday's this month. And his birthday, he will be 21 years old, which is kind of getting up there.
Legal drinking age.
Legal drinking age, yeah. But we've had...
Buy him a beer.
Yeah, a beer cake.
A beer cake?
Yeah, beer carrot cake. Huh?
Oh, there you go.
There you go, yeah. You know, I had a previous ranch manager, Jamie. Many of you remember her, I'm sure. And she would bake carrot cakes for the horses. We got to get back to that. The horses have been telling me ever since Jamie left, no carrot cakes.
No carrot cakes
for birthdays. But he'll be 21. And I have a great memory of having purchased this horse. I purchased him on the 4th of July when he was 4 years old. And his purchase was a really interesting story. I was looking for a horse, and I wanted a horse that was a really easy horse, okay? And a friend of mine said, well, I know this woman in the Bitterroot, and she has quite a story to tell. And at any rate, she is selling this horse that she just bought. I mean, you don't normally even train a horse until they're about 3. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, this was a really interesting story because the woman, I thought this was a strange story. She was a podiatrist, which means feet, you know. Okay. And she had gotten into a terrible horse accident in her driveway, and and nobody came to help her. It was really a sad, sad situation. And she ended up losing one of her feet. Oh. Yeah. And it was a really tragic accident. And she was very determined to get back on a horse. She loved horses. So she bought Monty because he has such a beautiful, calm personality. He's just a people lover. You know, he's like the golden retriever of the horse world, you know?
Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves him, wants to curl up in your lap, you know, just Mr. Wonderful, right? Anyway, and he did behave himself, but she realized that she really couldn't do this anymore. You know, she'd lost her balance because she was, you know, all kinds of things. And a 4-year-old horse, no matter how good they are, they're young. They're very young. And so she came off of him once and said, okay, I got to start over. So she just wanted to move him along. And so my friend called me on the 4th of July, and I called the woman and I said, well, I'll come down right now and look at him. And I bought him. One of the best purchases I ever made.
Nice.
Yeah, really a nice guy. So Monty and I have been through heck and high water, all right? First of all, I took him, he's a big horse, and I knew he could pack a lot of weight. So I took him to a class, you know where the 9 Mile is, the 9 Mile Ranger District?
Sure,
Have you been up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, our horse was, Allison boarded her horse there for the one that did the falconry. She's the one that had the horse, and she boarded her horse there for, it was 7 Mile, not quite up to 9 Mile, but it was 7 Mile.
Right. There's an arena up there.
Yeah. And so we boarded it there, and but very familiar with the area.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful area.
It's a gorgeous area, and the 9 Mile Ranger District is where, for the northern section of the Forest Service, all of their horses and mules come there for the winter.
Yep.
It's a huge, big place, and maybe we could go up there and take photos for somebody, for people next winter. They're gorgeous in the winter, really pretty. I mean, there's big herds of them.
Every direction you look around here, it's gorgeous. It doesn't matter what direction you go. It is. It's pretty. It is. Yeah.
But I used to help them feed on their feed truck. They drive this big feed truck and you throw up bales of hay, and it was very fun because there's this big herd of not just horses but mules.
Yeah.
At any rate, I took him for a clinic up there, a packing clinic from a really famous guy, Smoke Elser. Smoke.
I know Smoke.
He wrote the book literally on packing horses. Anyway,
and he still does.
He still does.
He still does those seminars. I know I was involved with the Elk Foundation for a lot of years, and that was kind of the highlight of our national convention. People packed in for his, no pun intended, but they packed in for his packing seminars.
Right.
And
he's a character, isn't he?
Yes.
I need to get him out here sometime. He's got stories like you wouldn't believe.
Oh my.
One story just just so you'll know, that's kind of a preview. He packed an upright piano into the Bob Marshall Wilderness Area.
I don't know that story.
Think about it.
Yes.
Upright piano. I mean, that's not something that comes apart. There aren't many moving parts that
It's
come
no
up.
small feat, and to take it into the wilderness of Bob Marshall is
narrow
another story.
trails. Yeah. Anyway, it's quite a story. At any rate, I took Monty, and he came back with a highly contagious disease that could have killed him, and nearly did. I had to take him to the emergency room at the vet, and he was in intensive care for about 3 days. And then I had to quarantine him for 6 months and care for him for 6 months. So we became like that, Monty and I did. Even though I wasn't riding him, I was with him daily.
Yes.
And we became
And they know that.
They know that. He knew that I was taking care of him, and he understood for sure.
See, all these other ones around here, they want your attention too.
Oh, yeah. They all think this is a good deal, you know? Get some attention, yeah. Including these little
He's
cans.
eating pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. He's in here eating, and they aren't, though.
That's right.
So that was my first incident with Monty. My second incident was a scary event for both of us. And I'll have to admit that I have something of a lead foot when I'm riding. I like to go fast.
I do that when I'm driving. That's not safe. Just ask my husband.
Yeah, I like speed. Yeah.
Have the need for speed.
Yeah, so we were going down.
I do too on a horse, but I tend to fall off if I go too fast.
Yeah.
I don't ride that often. So.
Yeah, well, galloping downhill is a little different, and we were galloping downhill, and his right front foot, and I can see this in my mind as I speak of it.
Do I want to hear this? Is it going to be painful?
It's painful for me and emotionally, but stick with the story.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not bad.
I'm sorry.
It's not a horror film.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wasn't liking where that was going.
No, I didn't like where it was going either way. And anyway, he tripped on this root of a huge ponderosa pine, and the next thing I know, he is wrapped around the tree, head down. He knocks himself off. I'm thrown way off. I have a helmet. I am fine, but the horse is completely knocked out, cold. I thought he had died. I thought he had been killed.
Goodness.
Yeah. So I took his bridle off. There was some blood coming out of his mouth, not a lot, which later I determined was just a little bit of a cut in his mouth, nothing more. And after a little while, he came to, and he kind of shook himself up, and I thought, oh dear, broken back, not going to get up. Can't get up,
sure,
yeah. He took a huge hit. He got up, kind of shook himself off, and looked at me, and
like, what the heck are we doing here?
Yeah. And of course, I wasn't going to get on him. I had no idea if he had internal injuries.
Sure.
I just wanted to walk him out very slowly. I stopped at every creek crossing in case he wanted to drink. I just walked him out very slowly.
How far in were you?
Oh, no more than about 3 miles.
Oh, it wasn't bad.
So it wasn't bad. So it was a day ride. And I had one person with me, and she was more horrified than I was when she saw me flying through the forest.
Well, as would anyone, really.
At any rate, I got back to my trailer, and I put him in the trailer, and I got home, and he seemed just fine. So I called my vet, and I love my vet. He's a terrific vet. He really knows his stuff. And I said, Dick, I don't see anything wrong with him. Can I just really keep close observation to make sure that he's drinking and that he's eating and that he's urinating and that he's defecating? Just to make sure that there isn't some sort of internal issue here and that his eyes are clear and that I don't see him in pain in any way, He said, yeah, just do that. So I did. And he never even went to see the doctor after all of that, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. So now,
tough horse.
Fast forward 1 year, almost to the day. Autumn, same hill, same tree, coming down the hill, this time slowly, mind you. I have several people with me this time.
Didn't you put a flag on that route? Does she not learn what is up with it?
So anyway, I am coming downhill, and just as we were about to see that tree and go past it, in my mind I said, oh, there's the tree, and I'll be darned if he didn't faint.
He fainted?
He fainted. And when a horse faints, let me tell you, all 4 feet go down at once. He went down. I stepped off. It was like, boom, not on his
I
side.
have never heard of that.
No, you don't. No one hears of this because horses don't do this. And I was
You could
flabbergasted.
start a whole new fad. You know, they've got the fainting goats. Now we've got
yeah.
the fainting horse.
Yeah.
But that's scary, though.
Oh, it was very scary. And this time I had about 6 people with me, and they went, "Oh, what's happening?" And I thought, my goodness, this is really interesting.
Did you know it was a feint when he did that?
Well, because of the way he fell. I mean,
Wow.
it was just straight down, and so I got off of him, and he kind of became.
Splash some water in his face?
Well, he just shook his head a little bit, and I got him up, and I walked him about, 20, 50 feet, something like that. I got back on and rode home. And I called my horse trainer, and I called my vet, and I said, "You're not going to believe this."
That is the craziest story I've ever heard. I got to say.
Yes, isn't it? And it made a National Horseman magazine because it's so unusual, and it was PTSD.
Have you taken him by that tree since?
That tree, he's been by that tree, but it was the same time of year, the same autumn. Really organic smells, everything about it was the same. I could take him by in winter 10 times over and you wouldn't have noticed it.
Right, well, yeah.
All of the stimulus were there, all of them.
Wow.
That's
wild.
how when you smell something, you see something, and you hear something, it can just take you right back to it. Yeah. Well, it took him back, and he fainted. So I was very careful in the fall if I had a guest rider to avoid that area.
She did put up a flag.
I did. I never would take people on that
Oh, my
particular trail
goodness.
in the fall. Very unusual. Yeah.
Wow.
But every vet I talked to and horseman that I talked to said the same thing. And it turns out that horses have incredibly thick skulls. They don't get knocked out. That's akin to dying. So he had a near-death experience.
Holy
Knocked out.
smoke.
Right. So now,
That is wild.
now we're really bonded, right?
I guess.
Yeah, we've been through all this nonsense together, right?
Right.
And then I have other really wonderful stories about how he has saved the bacon for many a person. I had this French couple come. Come on back.
He wants the grass.
He wants the grass. Yeah, he's not interested in my telling stories. He wants the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I lived through this. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You're sending me into PTSD just telling the story again.
Anyway, I had this French couple come, and the horse we're going to meet next week is Mickey. Mickey can only be ridden by people who know how to ride. He is a fast, athletic, pushy horse. And anyway, she was a great rider, and the man was not. All right, and so many of you have noticed, no doubt, when you see us ride, that we have what are called split reins, one rein in each hand. We don't. A lot of people use loop reins. All right,
I like the split reins better.
Yeah, well, they're safer, and let me tell you a story. I know from firsthand experience why they're safer. Okay, so we're down by Hamilton in the Sapphire Mountains, right? And we're going pretty good, and we're going down a very steep hill, and this guy had no idea how to ride down a steep hill. And he lets go of his loop reins accidentally, because he's nervous. He let go of his loop reins, and of course the horse is going down. So it goes down right over Monty's head, and then he puts his foot through it. He just hobbled himself.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Exactly. I know. That's exactly why
so
I don't like
he had a bit in his mouth, and the reins were down on the ground, and now he was walking with them in his foot.
Oh.
He stopped on a very steep hill and looked at me. Is that one good trail horse or what?
Yes.
Yes. So this is one of my very favorite horses. He has taught my children to ride. He's taken people who, have limited abilities because he knows to be careful with people. And yet, if you know how to ride, he can give you the ride of your life. He has a beautiful, beautiful gated running walk. It's not easy to get. He's a little bit, when I say Strolling Joe, a little lazy. A little bit like Strolling Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not to be too...
So now, what kind of horse is he? I'm gonna ask you 20 questions
all
here.
right, here. So he
Is he a walker?
He's a walker.
He's a walker.
Yeah.
And are most of...
Everyone you see out here is a walker, with the exception of Mackenzie's horse, that's an Arabian.
Okay.
All of the other ones are walkers.
Okay.
Okay, and a walker, the reason they call them a walker is they have what are called intermediate gaits. And all horses have 4 gaits. The walk, in which one foot is off the ground at the same time. A trot, in which the diagonal feet are off the ground at the same time. A pace, which the lateral feet are off the ground. So,
what do you mean lateral?
Here's your horse. Here's your horse.
Right.
So left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right side.
So they do left and right.
But they do both feet on the same side.
On the same side.
Come up at the same time. That's called a pace. If you watch watch a giraffe, the next time you see National Geographic and they're in Africa, watch a giraffe walk. They pace.
That's a good lesson.
That's called a pace. Okay, and then all horses can. So all horses either pace or trot. And that's 2 legs on the ground at all times. Okay, and then there's what's called a canter. And that's ba-da-dum, 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 dum, dum, 3. So you've got 1 leg on the ground at all times, 3 off. 1 leg comes down and supports that horse for a brief moment, right? And then you go ba-da-dump and off they go again, but only 3 legs are off at any one time. And then a full-out gallop where they all kind ba-da-dump, 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 all 4 come off. So you get a big grasp of ground and then a big grasp of air. All 4 feet come off. So what happens with a gaited horse is they have more animation in the walk. A Tennessee walking horse has more animation. They move more from their shoulders than their hindquarters. And if you see if in the snow you were watching a regular non-gaited horse walk, his left hind would go right on top of where his front hind was.
Okay.
His just right on top. That's called
his front.
His front foot would make an indentation, and then his back foot would come right on top of it.
Okay.
In a Tennessee Walker, his back foot would come 12 to 18 inches in front. So just on a one step, you gain 12 to 15 inches to 18 inches just on one step.
Okay.
So that means you go fast. Even at a walk, you go fast. It's way faster than a quarter horse or a non-gaited horse.
So people that have riding stables and that do lessons, that take trail rides, do they tend to use Tennessee Walkers more than any other horse?
And they don't because they're expensive.
Okay.
This guy costs twice what a quarter or 3 times what a quarter horse would cost.
But don't they have a smoother gait than a quarter horse?
That's it. You see, that fast walk,
right?
They don't trot. So they can go faster than another horse can trot by walking. Faster. They can go faster than some horses can by cantering. And I mean, it's fast. It can really be fast. Yeah. And it's a even 4-beat gait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and always 1 foot on the ground. Very fast. And each stride, you get 12 to 18 inches more than you would if it was another horse doing it, even at the same speed. So you're really covering ground. So when we go into the backcountry and I have people with quarter horses and mules that are bringing in all my stuff, they either come behind me or I send them in the day ahead. No. Yeah. They know. I mean, when Smoke, I used to hire Smoke to take the cooked gear and all of that. He'd go in the day ahead, and I'd catch up with him. And the next day, if we were going to stay in camp, then nothing would happen. But he'd get up really early if we were going to move and go ahead of me, way ahead of me, and then we'd fool around and catch up. Because we could cover almost twice as much ground as they could in the same time.
Well, we did that, when we went into the Bob. I did this when I was working for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Went into the Bob Marshall with a group of volunteers. What a great trip. We were gone for 5 days into the Bob. But that's what they would do. The Wranglers would break camp, and they would take off. We would take off first. They would break camp, and we would dawdle around. We'd take side trips and go fishing and just go look for elk, go look for other kinds of critters, and we'd stop for lunch, and then we'd take a hike and tie up the horses and blah blah blah, and then the Wranglers would come by and they'd pass us and they'd go ahead of us, and they would go set up camp for the next day. I think we stayed in 3 different places, 2 or 3 different places during the week.
Yeah, and this can be like out of Africa. You arrive in camp and the hors d'oeuvres are set up. And, I mean, it's really, they got the campfire going and the tables all set. And I mean, it can be pretty luxurious. Now, when we call the Bob That's the Bob Marshall Wilderness Area, and it's very close to Missoula. It's about 45 miles north and a little east of Missoula. Missoula happens to have two very big wild wilderness areas, well, three. The Rattlesnake Wilderness Area, small one, but you're looking at the largest wilderness area in the lower 48, which is the Bitterroot-Selway Wilderness Area. It's very big.
It is.
So we're very careful.
Once you come down over the top of that, it's a couple hours before you can even, maybe more than a couple hours before you can get any kind of cell service. There's nothing. It's a black hole there.
It is.
Unless you have a satellite phone.
Right. Yeah.
But boy, is that a beautiful drive.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I've ridden through it several times on pack trips. It's really fabulous. And our trails from Dunrovin go up right to the edge of it. Yeah, in the Lolo National Forest. Very nice. Let's get back to Monty. Yeah, Monty. Come on over here, Monty.
We let you eat long enough. That's enough.
Yeah. So I don't know what time it is. I could talk all day about it, and I'm sure people are, willing to hear some of my stories. But I have another. Thank you for that. I have another nice story, and that is we in the early day of cell phones, right? We had a company that wanted to come out and do an advertising for gloves that you could still use cell phones with, touch screens, okay? And they wanted to do it in a working environment, right? And so they brought Mr. Handsome out here, Mr. Handsome who didn't know how to ride. He was cute, really cute, and he wore the gloves very cute. He was really cute.
It's important to look good when you're on a horse.
Look good, look good. So, well, of course, I gave him Monty because Monty is very photogenic. He's tall. This guy was tall. And so the guy said, well, let's get some photos in the river. And I said, sure enough.
Oh, no.
We'll get some photos in the river. And this guy, sometimes, guys think that they can ride or they know more than they actually do. So we're down at the river, and Mr. behaves very well. And he gets into the middle of the river. It was a hot day, and he starts to paw, and I'm yelling, pick his head up, pick his head up, pick his head up. You got to move it up, take his head out of, he was looking at the water and starting to paw.
Wanting to drink.
Well, no, wanting to roll.
Wanting to roll.
You get in the water, so if you're riding
goodness.
with us, and you go across that river, and your horse looks down and does this.
Oh, no.
Then you need to get out of Dodge. So what you need to do is pull his neck up and give him a little boot to get him moving.
Yep.
Otherwise, well, you can guess what happened after that.
Oh, my
Mr. Handsome was in the water.
Mr. Handsome was a wet Mr. Handsome.
A wet Mr. Handsome, yeah. But before they...
Did he look as good, dripping wet?
Oh, no. Right before it happened, I got a fabulous photo of him. And, I went looking for that photo. This was a long time ago. And I thought, wow, I need to find that photo.
She needs to find that photo.
Yeah, gorgeous photo.
Because she's teasing us now.
Yeah, I got to find the photo. It was gorgeous because...
Did you get it before and after?
Before, I didn't get any... they were taking photos, honey.
Okay.
These weren't I'm not this photographer.
Well,
they gave me some of the photos. But the one they got of him in the river, and Monty, who had sort of thrown his neck up a little bit, and his mane was... it was just one of those to die for photos.
Right. Yeah. Right place, right time.
Right place, right time. But 2 seconds later, it wasn't so good. Yeah.
I laugh. You watch. This will happen to me.
No, I don't think I've ever had anybody else.
Yeah.
Because most people listen. If I say, get his head up, and normally our guys will warn people. And of course, I was caught up in the photography of it all, So I didn't do my usual spiel. I didn't, say, when you cross the river, you got to keep your eyes on the far shore, otherwise you get dizzy because you got water going this way and you're going that way. You keep your eyes there, don't let your horse put his head down, a few little safety things. Anyway, so that's another story. And then I have to tell you about and some people who are with us will remember this too. I had a good friend who hung around.
You're stealing camera time.
Yeah.
Come on.
I had a friend who hung around. I used to tell everybody that she was the reason I started Dunrovin Ranch. I gave her a free ride to National Public Radio. You know how they have premiums, You give a ride, and anyway, she came out and she wouldn't go home. Just wouldn't go home. I couldn't get rid of her. So I said, we better start something here. So she hung around until ultimately she moved about 10 or 12 years after she came here the first time. Anyway, she kind of integrated into Dunrovin. She was fabulous. She ended up getting a horse of her own, and she bought one of my horses originally, which happened to be killed by somebody here. That's a sad story, all of its own. But her name was Sally, and one winter she took it in her head that she would teach Monty, who's good for anything, to drive, and so we had toboggan rides behind Monty in the snow. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll do just about anything.
Aw.
Yeah, he's the kindest, gentlest. He's good with kids.
He seems very even-keeled.
Yep.
Very, you're just hanging.
Yeah.
Just hanging.
Strolling Joe.
Strolling Joe.
Yeah. He's a marvelous horse.
As opposed to Cotton Eye Joe, which is a whole different song.
Right.
With the University of Montana. Yeah.
Oh, and for those of you who are watching, you can tell him by his blaze. It's a very unique blaze. It's almost like a hook blaze. See the hook on it?
It is.
So you can tell that's him looking. We have another sorrel. His color is sorrel, which is kind of the reddish brown. And he has a big white sock on the back left rear. The left rear, or his left rear is white. So if you see him in the field, you can tell he's also pretty tall. He's one of our taller horses. But he's just a gem. And he's earning a retirement. He will not go out on the long trails this year. This year he will be confined to the occasional river ride across the river as long as he doesn't roll. And helping with children's programs.
Yeah.
He's great with kids.
Good.
He deserves a good retirement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Yes.
Yes. And with that, you're going to come back next week, and we're going to move through the M's. Mickey's our next victim.
Mickey.
Totally different kind of a
Do I
horse.
need to bring my ears?
Yeah, you have to bring, your armor. He'll be dancing the whole time.
Okay.
He's one of our oldest horses too, and he's never settled down ever.
Wow.
We call him Mischievous Mickey.
So you don't put new riders on him?
I was the one who was the French lady whose husband rode.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
She was on Mickey. She had a fabulous time. If you know how to ride, Mickey's your horse.
Okay.
Great horse.
All right.
Very athletic. And Monty's also a great horse and athletic, but he's also common sense and calm. He's also a herd leader. The other horses respect him.
Well, because he's calm, he's probably a good one to have up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he goes first. Horses respect other horses when there's danger who go and look and figure it out.
Except by that tree in the fall with the root.
Yes.
Then he goes,
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Don't want the horses to follow.
Yeah, exactly. What an incident, huh?
Oh my gosh, I can't. I've never heard a story like that.
I know,
It's amazing.
I know. Anyway, do come back next week. Julie's coming back next week. She'll be taking some pictures.
God willing, I'll be back.
She's coming back.
I'm coming back.
She's coming back. She's part of us now. And I hope you've enjoyed her newsletters. She's taking that over. So when the newsletters come out, it's Julie by herself or Julie with a little input from Suzanne.
Jewel.
Yeah.
I just stepped on her.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of stepped on her.
Sort of, yeah. She's retired too.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. You want to go?